an elite with money and power wanted to realize their ideas and visions of a good life in Afghanistan. We were convinced that the tool at the bottom of his heart asked the Afghan partner whether he used a really attitude of connection. Please do something together, please do something together for this country, and by that I mean for the people in Afghanistan, so that they can live in security, in peace, and that they have a future. And like the implementation of federalism, the implementation of the project was a dynamic process. We constantly had to find new answers for new questions. However, we were only supporters and companions to our Afghan partner in their search for answers. And they found a lot of answers, and they found a lot of solutions was fit to their life. We needed trust, we needed honesty, because just as development and federalism have the potential to do a lot of good, to be a solution for challenging problems, to ensure security, stability and peace, but can also cause harm if used carelessly and incorrectly. You can now ask what has become out of our project. Did it work? Where are the workers? Where's the factory? Where's the school? Where's our kindergarten? 2004, we started with 14 women as workers in the factory. We started the school and the kindergarten. We had teachers, engineers, administration, drivers, cooks, and gardeners, under the lead of an Afghan women association. After 5 years, the factory was post-cavalry. After 7 years, over 80 persons worked there. They developed new products, earned money, and were an important economic factor in Kunduz. It all began with a small Afghan women association in Kunduz and some foreigners, which compared to how much money went to Afghanistan, a very, very small amount of money. 2015, after 11 years, the Taliban came back to Kunduz, and this was the end of all our efforts. It was the end of all the hope. The factory was destroyed, the sewing machine stolen, the new production levels to ground, and the workers had been persecuted and had to flee. We can't know whether it would have worked out in the long term, 15, 20 or more years. We cannot research what we could have done better, differently, or what we did right and well, why it would have worked out or why not. But what we know is it worked out a long time, from 2004 until 2015. And it was a long time, more than 10 years, a place of cooperation, peace and future. More than 100 Afghan people had jobs, education there. It was a place with a lot of hope, with peace, future, stability, and with an important economic impact on the area. It was a place where men and women were together, who foreigners supported but didn't rule, where we arguing but always with respect, and it was a place where we put our skills and resources at the service to the welfare of the country and the Afghan people. This shows that a lot can succeed, that a lot is possible, but also how quickly everything can get lost. A small group of Afghan women were able to build a factory. A small group of Afghan women were able to create jobs. A small group of Afghan women were able to build and run a business school. A small group of Afghan women were able to develop a peaceful and sustainable project with an important economic factor, and this over a period of 11 years. But we and they were not able to influence the major political circumstances. To build sustainable peace, it needs a strong, legal and powerful political framework and a will for stability and peace. This wasn't the case in this time. For now and the future, there's again the danger that policymakers and other countries and stakeholders will pay lip service to the need of the people from Afghanistan. And they will do what they did in the past, to give priority to their own interests, geopolitical interests, and interests of elites, power, and money. If they do it again and again, then unfortunately there will be no hope for Afghanistan. There will be more death, more suffering, and more war, and more instability for all of us. But I hope deep in my heart that wise people, people with power, will use their wisdom and power for peace and for the interests of the people in Afghanistan. And I hope deep in my heart that they find ways to change Afghanistan from a country of crisis, of a country of war, to a country of opportunity, to a country of safety, to a country of peace, and to a country where people can live a good life. A small group of women in Kunduz proved it. It can work, it can be done, but if you give them the framework for it. Thank you.
Anyway, to an Austrian interest, I hope, anyway, it looks like there's also good communication with, looks like we had a good communication also with the Afghan population, so thank you very much for making all these efforts, and I hope still something good will come out at the end of the day. Thank you. Our next speaker is Dr. Afsar Rathor. He's a world citizen, I would say. He has Pakistani roots, but he lived in Iran. He comes originally, he lived as a child and I think as a young man in Iran, but then he studied in the United States and he worked for many years as a UN executive. He worked in UN peace building, and later he came to Vienna and he worked also for UNIDO, and now he gave up all his career to work for peace. So he's a man with a big vision, and he also was involved in many projects helping Afghan refugees in Pakistan. I want to say this because it's an important thing. He represented big NGOs which want to help the situation of Afghan people in Pakistan. So without further ado, I give the floor to Dr. Rathor.
Thank you very much, Peter. Distinguished guests, excellencies, peace-loving friends, Afghan guests, thank you very much giving me the opportunity to be here. I was actually born in Tehran, so my roots, my father come from Kashmir, so after the partition 1947, but we settled in Iran, and I don't believe in a citizenship, but we global human nature. In Quran, Almighty Allah, you see that in 360 times Almighty Allah in Quran say Ya ayyuhan nas, a humanity, and only 64 times Almighty Allah say Ya ayyuhal mu'minun, and Muslim. So see the differences. So humanity is prevailed for everything. The minister talked about the Afghan problem. Madam also talked a lot about how small changes can make I was in different part of the world where there was a war and there was a destruction. And a little small association and little small effort made the change. It is possible. I can give you an example of Rwanda, Bosnia-Herzegovina, Angola, Mozambique, East Timor, and many more, where we started with very small and we achieved. But today the subject is Afghanistan, and I am a man of peace. I don't see and don't talk about the war, atrocity, killing, and so we look into the future, how we should be. And when I was yesterday, the day before yesterday, came from Paris, I was sitting and thinking how we can help Afghanistan. How can we really look for Afghanistan in the future? Normally I have the problem, I talk a lot. My last intervention in the University of Berlin was 4 hours. So Peter and Dr. Bakker gave me only 20 minutes, so therefore I have put my notes here in order to read them very quickly, and Peter is also nodding his head. I see here, can you please, my presentation? So, I see now, somehow or the other, that there is a light at the end of the tunnel with the Taliban. I am always a very optimistic person, and the first things which destroyed Soviet Union was financial, economic disasters. And when the economic disaster started, then the countries go bankrupt. Similarly, problem Taliban had in Afghanistan right now. The economy is totally destroyed since they took it over in August 2021. According to the, I will just give you some. The next one. Okay, this is about the economy. If I can say very quickly that since the takeover, 20 to 30% of the GDP has been reduced. There is 28 million Afghan, or 2/3 of our population is in need of their assistance. Unemployment rate is 40%. This is all statistic I took from the UN. And there are 9 billion Afghan assets are frozen by the US, mainly 7 billion and rest of the world. And 75% of the Afghan were used to have direct assistance before 2021, and this is no more the case. The result is a nation on the brink where hunger, poverty, and despair are rampant. This is not just an Afghan population problem, it is a global responsibility. Then number 2 is a public discontent and civil unrest. Beyond the economic crisis, there is a deep-seated public discontent. A Gallup poll in 2023 revealed that over 80% of Afghans disapprove the Taliban's restriction on women's education and employment. So this discontent is a ticking bomb. Without addressing the escalation of the Afghan people, especially women and youth, the risk of civil unrest and further instability will only grow. The recent history of Iran, Somalia, Yemen, and now Bangladesh, and many other countries has proved it. The economy is totally destroyed since the end of the war. It's almost 2021. According to so the next point is the internal resistance and rift. The Taliban rule is far from united. There are clear rift, as you know, within the regime. The Qatar faction led by Hebatullah Akhundzadeh is at odds with Kabul or Doha faction represented by Mullah Baradar. Key figure like Abbas Ishtenzai, who was the deputy foreign minister and who talked a lot about the women education and supported women right have to flee to UAE, signaling an internal discount. Meanwhile, the National Resistance Front and other opposition groups like you are getting the momentum. This internal resistance underscores the fragility of the current regime. So therefore, a comprehensive future plan for Afghanistan is the need of the hour. And I would request you, all the participants, that you should also establish what we call it a shadow cabinet. What is a shadow cabinet. Shadow cabinet means that you should have a lot of professionals who are Minister for Foreign Affairs, Minister for Finance, Minister for Industry, Investment, Agriculture, and so on. And they should be given the responsibility to prepare a future action plan. And that will really help. So, based on my 27, 28 years of experience in the UN in different parts of the world, I have also prepared and I present a post-Taliban way forward. I am hoping and I'm believing that Taliban will not stay longer. So you should be also ready for that. It might look right now for you as big smile, impossible, but as I said, we have seen the change, whether it was in Middle East, in Bangladesh now, before in Iran, and different part of the world. So the number one, what you have, and also the minister have talked about that. This is the number one is inclusivity. Number one. Go back. Next. This was it. Next. Okay. Yeah. So this is the idea. I took it, and I think that your minister also talked a lot about that. There is decentralized federal system with a lot of independence given to the states. And what I did is, through my son is quite good in computer, so we make a plan how this decentralized government should look like. And you have different provinces with different majority ethnic group, like 42% are Pashtun, 27% Tajik, 9% is Hazaras, and 9% Uzbek, Turkmen, Baloch, and so what we did it, based on that, we have already made states with their majority and give them, this should be a government run by the state, and the federal and decentralized. A federal government should only be responsible for foreign affairs, defense, and economy, and rest should be decentralized. Number of this, the most important, further that, then given the power to the people, which means the local government, local bodily government on the village basis, means you have a mayor in a village. So this will be a total participation of the people, for the people, working for the people. And I think this is the need of the hour for Afghanistan. You have always a centralized government which failed to include everything. And then you should have two chamber system. National Assembly, again, where the Pashtuns are in majority, 42%. However, if you have a Senate which is not proportionally equally presented, means every province has one senator or two senators, then you will have the same problem that you will have solved the problem that you will be able to represent every ethnic group in the Senate, and each bill has to be passed through the Senate. Number two, which is very important, is economic recovery and building a self-resilience.
The recording has stopped.
Can you go to the next? Next. Afghanistan's economy is in ruin. As I before said, this challenge is immense, but so is the opportunity. Afghanistan stands at a crossroad, and if the path chooses will determine the future of millions of Afghans. Based on my long-term experience, I prepared a plan how to revive the economy. Reviewing the economy is the key to a success for a prosperous and peaceful Afghanistan. So last time also I told in my intervention with Ukrainian friends that joining the European Union will benefit European Union, not the Ukrainians. So you should have also that courage. So engage with the international community. Number one is the leave it there, please. Engage with the international community. Once upon a time, before 2021, Afghanistan was relying on $8.5 billion in annual aid, which accounted for 75% of the public spending. By negotiating, after the post-Taliban, I'm talking, even if you get half of that, you can stabilize the economy and to fund critical sectors like healthcare and education and creating jobs. Number two, revive the banking sector and restore financial system. Afghanistan's $7 to $9 billion are frozen by the American and the Western power. And once the Taliban are gone, then this will be unfrozen, hopefully. What you need it also to global financial system, so-called SWIFT, should be restored. It will open the door for remittances. Afghan was sending something $800 million remittances before 2021. And we believe if the SWIFT system is open again, Afghan will send something like $1.2 to $1.3 billion each year to their family, which will help the Afghan currency, which has already lost 25% of its value since 2021. Number three, support agriculture and food security. Yeah, that is very important. Afghanistan has 8 million hectares of arable land to be cultivated. Unfortunately, right now it's only 3.2 million is cultivated, and rest wheat will be imported. So this untapped potential should be converted to prosperity, because 60% of Afghans are relying on farming. If you invest only $500 million, which is nothing, in investment in irrigation systems, seeds, improvement and infrastructure could yield by 30%, means your productivity can increase by 30% and reducing the food insecurity and providing to 50% population this food. Number four, I go very quickly, develop mining and natural resources. Yeah, this is very important. Afghanistan mineral wealth, which are lithium, copper, but the most important thing, ladies and gentlemen, is so-called rare earth material, which is a very, something which we need in the Western world for technology, and Afghanistan has a lot of them. We estimate that the total worth is $3 trillion, $3,000 billion. Mining could contribute over $1 billion to GDP within 5 years. Furthermore, the so-called mess and the copper mine alone could generate $300 million each year and create 5,000 jobs. It would really transform Afghanistan into a resource-rich country. Number five, promote regional trade and connectivity. Afghanistan is a strategic location, make it a natural hub for the trade between Central Asia, South Asia, and Middle East by improving infrastructure and by leveraging the corridor like Lapis Lazuli road. It could increase trade by $2 billion annually, creating job and boosting export. Furthermore, the regional trade agreement could boost export further with $1.1 billion. Number six is encourage private sector growth as SMEs. Small and medium enterprise accounting for 90% of businesses in Afghanistan pre-2021. To support SMEs, with only $200 million could create 500,000 jobs and drive economic growth. Private sector growth could increase GDP by 2 to 3% annually by providing microfinance, tax incentives, and technical support. It could unleash the potential of Afghan entrepreneurs. Invest in education and workforce. With a literacy rate, unfortunately, Afghanistan now has approximately 42%. The future lies in education. $100 million annual investment could increase literacy rate by 10% in 5 years. While vocational training, that is also very important. Program could equip 100,000 youth annually with skills for jobs in construction, mining, and agriculture. Number 8 is address. Address corruption and improve governance. This is very, very important. Transparency is key to rebuilding trust with international donors and investors. Afghanistan ranked 165 out of 180 countries in the Transparency International Corruption Perception Index 2024, unfortunately. By reducing corruption, Afghanistan could attract $1 billion foreign direct investment annually and unlock $2 billion in frozen development projects. My friends, I can tell you right now, a foreign investor has $3.2 trillion in their hands and trying to invest in different parts of the world. So Afghanistan could also benefit that. Leverage remittances. Remittances were, as I said, $800 million were before 2021, which can be increased. Okay, which can be increased to 1.2. Promote gender inclusivity economic policy. Allowing women to participate fully in the economic could add $1 billion to GDP annually. Educating girls could increase agricultural productivity by 25%, benefiting rural community and the nation as a whole. And this is also very important. Number 11, develop renewable energy projects. Afghanistan has 23,000 megawatt of hydro power potential, means with the water you can generate electricity, and Afghanistan has 300 sunny days annually. $1 billion investment could generate 1,000 megawatt of electricity, powering 2 million Afghans. The energy export could further generate $200 to $300 million every year. Number 12, foster regional diplomacy and stability. And this is also my advice to the Minister and your Excellencies. Afghanistan should sign a non-interference treaty with its neighbor. I am always the admirer of the Austrian neutrality and will highly recommend that Afghanistan should consider to become a neutral country like Austria, guaranteed by all the superpowers. By engaging with neighboring country, Afghanistan can ensure regional stability and economic cooperation. This would increase export by $1 billion annually and increase and also the security cost, which is 29% before 2021, which is almost $5 billion every year. Project like CASA 1000 energy initiative and Tapi gas pipeline can also generate millions of dollars. And Afghanistan can also tremendously benefit from the Chinese Belt and Road Initiative projects. And so, the last thing is the security. The collapse of Afghan National Army, I think Minister talked about in 2021, is a stark reminder of consequences of corruption and poor leadership. To rebuild the trust, professional, ethnically balanced security forces should be established that serve the people and not a faction. A reform the National Army of 50 to 70,000 coupled with community-based security initiative can address the problem. About the women's rights, I talked already before the takeover of Taliban. 3.6 million girls were enrolled in Afghanistan, and Afghanistan has 27% of parliament for women, which is the highest in the region. It must ensure a gender equality and women's rights in Afghanistan constitution and legal framework. It should at least allocate 20% of the education budget to the girls' school and teaching training and 30% parliamentarian seats. And their women participation in local government should also be made sure. And my other comment, international support and peace. Yeah, this is very important. Afghanistan cannot do all that post-Taliban alone. This international community must play a central role in supporting its transition. A United Nations-led transitional authority can oversee governance reform and coordinate international aid, ensuring transparency and contributing accountability. I, with the UN, had similar experience in Somalia, East Timor, Kosovo, and many other. And if I can also tell you, in Somalia, we had I was with 26 years a minister for development. So UN has a lot of experience about that. Reconciliation and justice. And this is, I think, which I learned from Nelson Mandela and Desmond Tutu, that Afghanistan should also go to the path of included truth and reconciliation process and address an atrocity and promote national healing. Over 100,000 innocent Afghan people got killed since 2001, and countless have suffered unimaginable losses. My loss, excellence. The road ahead is long, fraught with challenges, but the Afghan people have shown us time and again they are capable of extraordinary resilience. It is our collective responsibility to support them in building a future designed by peace, prosperity, and dignity. Let us not repeat the mistake of the past. Let us commit to a governance model that inclusive, equitable, and sustainable. Let us invest in Afghanistan's people, its economy, and its institution. And let us do, not out of charity, but out of a shared belief in the power of hope and promises of a better tomorrow. Together we can help Afghanistan rise from the ashes of conflict and reclaim its place as a proud and generous nation. At the end, I lived 6 years in Africa, and I have a very, very strong African proverb. They said, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. With that, I hope we work together. Thank you very much.
So when you hear Dr. Rathor, you know your future is bright. Just you have to work together. We gave the same speech with other facts to the Ukrainians, because anyway, our countries, and especially Afghanistan, we have a huge country which is much bigger from the size than Germany or even big European countries. So the potential of your land is incredible. We heard it, and so basically his message is your future must be bright, because there is no other option, because this is the fate of a country which is great and has the big potential for prosperity like not many other countries. Surely much more than Austria, which is small and still the people can live well here, so you can live even much better than the Austrians in the near future. So, thank you, Dr. Rathor. Our final speaker now is Ms. Shaira Karimi. She's a member of the Leadership Council and spokeswoman of the Federalist Assembly of Afghanistan. She's a researcher, political analyst, and activist. And I'm very happy to have another women's voice on the podium.
Thank you so much, everyone. I honestly don't know where to start. I really want to speak in my own Persian language, but I think we are gathered here together today to convey our message and to bring our concerns and our demands and needs to the international friends, and especially to Universal Peace Federation and also to UN. And I think that's why I'm going to stick with English, although it's not that good, but still, I'm going to try my best to do whatever I can. I wanted to thank a lot of people, but I think I'm going to get like 5 minutes at the end to actually convey my gratitude and thankfulness to my colleagues and Dr. Bokhri and everyone, but that's going to be at the end. So I'm not going to take long because I don't have any speeches or anything prepared. I was extremely busy in the past 2 months organizing and be part of 2 wonderful conferences which both of them one has ended and one of them is ending today. And I'm very hopeful and have a lot of good experiences and messages and things that have stuck with me. And I'm going to talk about them and use them in the future. I think my colleagues, since yesterday, we have heard a lot of good speeches, a lot of good presentations about the needs and the implementation of federalism in Afghanistan. And I think I do agree with Dr. Fedrol and my other colleagues yesterday who have spoken about the different form of governance for the future of Afghanistan. And today I've heard our international friends talking about the new Afghanistan, something that we need to look forward to, brighter, better than before, and we should stop looking at the past. And this is one of the things that we should learn as Afghanistani people, that we need to stop looking in the past and look in the future. And for that, we need new methods, new techniques, new frameworks for everything, not only politics, but society, economy, and etc. My main message was to talk about the women's rights issues and federalism, but I think my colleague Faranges yesterday, Ms. Faranges, she beautifully explained why Afghanistan needs federalism, especially when it comes to women's rights issues, because whenever you go to every event and conferences, women's rights matters are at the top of the agenda. And I think for me personally, as a woman, I stand with my sisters, with their solidarity, with all of the work they do in Afghanistan and in every corner of the world. I believe in their voices, I support them in any way I can. But I also believe that if we don't change the political system, if we don't change the structure of power and power sharing and resource sharing in Afghanistan, we won't be able to provide the right assistance, the right protection for women in Afghanistan. So that's why, hence we need to come up with solution for political, social-political issues and the conflict that we have right now. Although we hear a lot of voices that the war is over and we don't have a conflict or anything as such, but only the people of Afghanistan know what we are going through back home and abroad. I don't have, to be honest, I put some notes here. This is the stuff that Dr. Fedrol talked about, and I do think that those matters are very important, that we need to highlight some of the biggest elephant in the room that nobody wants to talk about, which is the ethnic dilemma in the country. I believe there are a lot of issues, including tribal issues, ethnic politics, geopolitical politics, which all affecting our country's situation currently and all affecting its future. To come up with some sort of correct ways, I think we've gathered here and many other conferences are organized because we want to find the right solution. But what is the right solution? That's the most important questions that we need to ask ourselves. And I do agree with my colleagues that say that we need to put the people of Afghanistan at the center. And what we as federalists here doing, we are proposing, we're not imposing, but proposing the right, or one of the right solutions for Afghanistan. We cannot say that federalism is something that we need to accept, but at the end of the day, no matter how many conferences, and I explained this to one of my friends as well, and I said no matter how many conferences you have, no matter how many gatherings and roundtable discussions or whatever, at the end of the day, we have to come up with a framework and a mechanism for implementing all of these political proposals. And I think federalism works as a mechanism for future political governance in Afghanistan. I don't want to say it's a system, because some believe that it's a system, but I believe it's a mechanism, and any type of political system can be implemented within this framework. One of the things that I want to talk about is also the narratives that's been created for Afghanistan since many, many centuries, I would say. I don't want to go into a lot of history because we've heard a lot of history yesterday, and also Dr. Pedram touched upon some of them. But I think the narrative that's created about Afghanistan, that it's a tribal land and all of the people are belonging to one identity and all, I don't believe in that. Since I started studying and since I started researching about Afghanistan, I came to a conclusion that, and I can already see it, I mean, this room is the example of the fact that we are a nation from different countries, from different tribes, different languages, and different religions, beliefs, norms, values, and which have their own wishes and political views. So hence I think it's very important for international communities to take this multiculturalism, this pluralism into consideration. And when they're thinking about Afghanistan, they should think about a multicultural society rather than just an ethnic society which is based on one ethnic group. And I don't want to touch upon that because we've talked about it yesterday, and if somebody wants to hear about this matter, they can look upon our yesterday's event, and we will share the links as well. As I had a conversation with a lot of international friends of ours and well-wishers, and one of the concerns they have is how do we implement all of these ideas within the country? How do we, when we're proposing federalism, how do we convince the people of Afghanistan that this is the solution, or the other solutions that our other friends and oppositions to the Taliban have? How do we implement it? What are the mechanisms that right now we don't have the land, we don't have access to, we can't go and travel back home, even some of us, and we can't be part of the governance, we can't be part of the decision making. So how do we actually come forward and implement all of this? Well, if anybody is interested in what the Federalists are proposing, to be honest, I'm not really keen on sharing our roadmaps or our mechanisms, because it's quite what we do outside the country with the work we do inside the country with the people of with the citizens of country is quite dangerous at the moment, and I don't want to go upon these technical and strategic issues that issues that we are implementing within the country. But if anybody is interested, and if the UPF or the UN is interested, we can send them our roadmap, which we have at the Federalist Assembly, including our charter, and they can see what methods and mechanisms we are implementing to work with the people within the Afghanistan. We have a lot of federalists within the country. We have a lot of women who are willing to support and willing to work with us, but due to the security issues and because of the security matters, they cannot come forward and join these type of meetings. I don't want to take your time. I'm here for any questions if there is any, the only thing I want to request our international friends and well-wishers is, we talked about the mistakes that they have committed. I think it's one of the major mistakes was that to not actually study about the history and the society of the people of Afghanistan. And every NGO, every organizations that went and worked in one province, they have taken their programs and they have implemented in another province which completely was different from the previous province, without understanding that Afghanistan's provinces, Afghanistan's people, its citizens, they all have their own unique identity and their own unique personalities because of the ethnic, religious and languages, which can affect you as a person a lot. And that's why it's very important for them to consider about every citizen of Afghanistan and to not think that somebody who's a Tajik or somebody who's Hazara or Uzbeks or Pashtuns or Afghans, they're all the same. So we all have our own identities and we all have our own differences, which needs to be taken into consideration when we are proposing policies and programs. I'm going to stop here because there are some questions, I think, and also thank you very much. Thank you for listening to me, and also thank you for both of you. Thank you, Mr. Arthur.
So thank you very much. I don't know how much time do we have still. Half an hour, very good. 25 minutes. So we have 3 questions, yeah? Okay. The lady first. You can speak about everything, but not more than 2 minutes.
سپاس از همکاران محترم و متشکرم از برشان برسانید. من از فدراسیون صلح جهانی میخواستم سوالی را بکنم که مثلا امروز این جمع بزرگ آمدن درست کنفرانس دایر کردیم و هدف ما است که یک مدل جدید مثلا در افغانستان اینا هم که نقش اساسی دارد روش بحث کنن، فکر کنن. شما در صحبتاتون در مورد نقش زنان گفتیم. من میخوایم از اینا بپرسم که فعلا مثلا میفهمیم که در افغانستان من کسی که زن هستم و هم نسلای من به عنوان از این که به جرم زن بودنشان از ابتدایی ترین حقشان محروم هستند. اینا به عنوان کمیته صلح جهانی پیام از اینا حرکت کار نمادین از اینا اصلا کاری که اینا بر زنای افغانستان انجام بدن و نگذارن که صداها در اونجا خاموش شود، زنها اونجا کشته شود. شما میفهمید که هر روز آمار خودکشی های زنها از افغانستان بیرون میشه و ما دیدیم 3 روز پیش که یک زنی در فاریاب خود حلق‌آویز کرد. پس لطفاً اینا پیام من است یا صدای من است که از اینا میخوایم بشنویم که اینا چطور میتونن در مقابل همچون یک ظلمی که آپارتاید جنسیتی در افغانستان حاکم است اینا سکوت کنن.
Thank you. I have a question from Dr. Fadrul and a short comment. First, I thank his work and contribution for Afghanistan in his presentation today in this conference to make our conference richer and more credible. I have a reservation regarding the statistics of Afghanistan population. During my more than 40 years of involvement in Afghanistan's politics, this is one of the most controversial issues in Afghanistan. You know, there is no credible and scientific based census in Afghanistan. The numbers 42%, 27.99, and many other different statistics, these all coming from different circles, especially the ruling ethnic groups in Afghanistan, which they ruled for centuries, and their input about the statistics and different other issues of Afghanistan dominate. And I caution people like Dr. Rathor to be much more careful about the statistics in Afghanistan. So this is one thing I have to make this, the record straight. And my question is, where did you get these statistics? What is the source of this stats? Thank you.
In the back, yeah, he was one of the first.
Thank you very much, Dr. Asta,
Please keep it short. Yeah.
for your presentation and information. We have heard repeatedly from mass media that the international organizations calls for the establishment of an inclusive government in Afghanistan with the Taliban. However, the citizens of Afghanistan oppose the existence of Taliban regime and demands the creation of a democratic government with inclusive participation and where freedom is guaranteed. So, forming a united government with a regime that do not believe in human rights values, that means that violence and that is a violence of human rights. My question is to Dr. Radon, how to bring the issue of federalism on the United Nations agenda? And my second question is to Peter Heider. To what extent is possible for the Universal Peace Declaration to include the issue of federalism as a pathway to just peace in Afghanistan in its annual agenda and support this process? Thank you.
So, first we answer these questions. Yeah. First.
Okay, I'm going to try everybody knows my fourth that's okay, I'm going to try to do my best. So she's asking, we have gathered here for a 2-day conference to propose a new governance method and mechanism for Afghanistan. She's asking, I want to ask a question from UPF and an organization such as UPF who's working for peace and stability around the world. What are they doing for the women of Afghanistan who are every day subjected to violence, abuses, systematic erasure, and known as gender apartheid by the United Nations and many other organizations? So we have seen a lot of suicides, a lot of the situation of women is very dangerous right now. And what is UPF's plans for accepting gender apartheid and working and supporting the women of Afghanistan?
You have to understand that UPF is an international organization, and whatever we can do here is basically dealing with Austrian matters. So mainly we communicate with Afghans who are living in Austria, and we try to give them a platform to speak and to express their voice, their feelings, whatever, their frustrations, but of course by showing that they are our friends, we want to give them some hope. You have to understand, NGOs don't have the big money of governments. Yeah? When you speak about the UN, at least they represent governments, means they represent tax money. Yeah? So we don't have this kind of funds at our disposal. So like here we can do this. Of course, our organization is also working in the region, in South Asia and in the Middle East, but this is not really my responsibility, but they are doing. There's one colleague, he was many years also in Afghanistan, and he sends also his best wishes, Mr. Angelucci. He lives now in Turkey. So he's closer already to the situation, and he lived many years in Afghanistan. So I will not tell him what to do because he knows much better and also how our organization can help there. Anyway, this is the only thing I can say. We can give our small support, which we can give here, and give you a platform, and then maybe you are more noticed, and you are noticed in a positive way. So I think this is what we can realistically do here.
We have a conference for the Afghan women this last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay, the question was asked, Excellency asked me about my statistic. Based on my statistic, when I would try to look at that, when I was looking for the Afghan population, I got from the UN, UNDP, World Bank, IMF, Wikipedia. 5 sources I checked, and they were relying between 35 to 42 million population. It is really not correct. But something you have to take, where I did not have the time, if you see, there was an asterisk that these are taken from that things. Similarly, about the ethnic diversity, I also got the same thing from the international community, World Bank, UNDP, World Bank, Wikipedia, European Union. So whether it is really 100% correct, 90% correct, I'm really sorry, I don't have any instrument to verify that. I can take, because when we also talk about the economical indicators, we mostly take from the UN, World Bank, and IMF. These are the most reliable, whatever is possible. If there is a deviation, if it is not correct, I apologize for that, and I would be like to have your input, but this should also be based on some credible sources. Number one, the gentleman back there asked about how you can bring the system to the UN. As Peter said, the problem with the UN, I think, let me explain to you a little bit about the United Nations. There is a lot of criticism, even when I go around the world and people are just personally attacking me what the UN has been doing, for example, in Yemen, in Gaza, in Afghanistan, in Syria, and so on. The United Nations is a member of 190 countries, right? However, the General Assembly has, each member of the General Assembly has one vote, right? However, unfortunately, and I said the time when 1945, the fathers of the United Nations established United Nations, they were very, this I say, and very lordly said, very naive people. They were good believers. They believed in the humanity because they have seen the atrocity after the Second World War and the First World War. So they really put a lot on goodwill gesture. That was the whole thing. The problem, however, the power source of the United Nations is the Security Council. Security Council is a 15 member, 10 of them are rotating, and 5 are the so-called veto power 5. And they are the decision maker. They are the only decision maker. And any resolution which comes into the UN from the Security Council, and they can make sanctions, they can impose a war, they can make the decision. General Assembly with 190 members, we can only make recommendations. So in my previous intervention on Friday in the UN online, I made the statistic that 360 times veto was used. So UN is more or less paralyzed time and time. It is still a good organization where people come together and talk about each other. And we found a lot of good positive things, but also there are a lot of also challenges we are facing. So UN cannot interfere in a country unless it is mandated by the Security Council. And if you see the invasion of Afghanistan at that time, or Iraq, was mandated by the UN Security Council. UN itself cannot bring something, a country has to bring to the Security Council, and the Security Council has to approve that. And then it becomes kind of a law. Then it has to be imposed. I hope I answered your question.
Thank you. So we have 3 more questions. 2 more.
1 minute.
Yeah, 1 minute.
Thank you. شهر جان امیدوار است که برای دوست عزیز ما دکتر افشار راتر یک مطلب را نیت جناب دکتر بسیار قابل قدردانی است که درباره افغانستان معلوماتی اظهار کردم، ولی ما البته توجه به این دارم که جناب دکتر راتر بیشتر کوشش بکنند که از منابع بسیار زیاد، البته که تا هنوز منابع معتبری هم گفته نمیتونیم، ولی در کمیت نفوس افغانستان که در اینجا ارائه شده طبیعی بنده نمیتونم که با این موافق باشم، چون که سرنوشت ترکای کمیت ترکای ازبک همیشه از تریبون قبیله گفته شده و اینا در همه جای حاکم بودن، بناهن لطفاً در این باره توجه صورت بگیره وقتی که در سطح جهانی بیرون داره میشه به این ارقام لطفاً توجه جدی صورت بگیره. تشکر.
A quick question. آقای واقعی پنالیست ها سوالم بکنم که ما کنیم سوال داریم اینه که افسر کار نمیم سوال
به نام خدا. سوال من از جناب دکتر صاحب پدرام است. من دو سوال دارم، کوششم که در یک نفر ختم کنم. سوال اول این است که جنگی که برای فعلا در افغانستان جریان دارد، این جنگ را شما جنگ اخوان می‌دانید یا جنگ دو تفکر اخوانی و دیوبندی می‌دانید؟ این یک. سوال دوم این است که شما در فردای مبارزه شما جمعیت فدرال خواهان آیا چه تضمین وجود دارد که فرداها در دام یک از این ایدئولوژی‌های مخرب اسیر نشویم؟ و سوال سوم و آخری ما این است که شما مکانیزم سیاسی را مطرح کردید، فلسفه سیاسی شما چی است در برابر جنوساید هزاره، در برابر مثلا آپارتاید جنسیتی؟ در طول از این دو روز در کل سمینار بیشتر روی مکانیزم ها گفته گفته شده، روی ساختار، ولی روی فلسفه سیاسی شما کدام گپی بیان نشد و ما شما انتظار داشتیم که روی فلسفه سیاسی از این جریان بیشتر تمرکز کنیم تا ساختار با مسئله بعدی است. با تشکر.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Peter, and I apologize from international audience that I will ask my question in Persian from Mr. Peter. آقای فدرال سلام و خوش آمدید به شهر ویانا و تشکر از سخنرانیتان. ما یک نقد بسیار کوچک داشتم و نقد من از روی کوتاه بینی و کوچک بینی من نیست. شما سوال اول من این است که فدرال خواهان از چند فیصد مردم افغانستان نمایندگی میکنن، همون طوری که نشست‌های دیگه برگزاری میشن، معلوم نیست که از کیها نمایندگی میکنن. دومش شما درهای خوبی برای یک نظام دموکراتیک و یک جامعه داریم که نیازمندش است. به نظر من یعنی ایدئالیسم یک مفکوره خوبی است ذاتاً، ولی اگر واقعیت‌های جامعه و فعلی را در نظر نگیریم، اون آرمان شهر خراسان بزرگ و افغانستانی که به اساس نظام فدرالیسم ترتیب شود راه دور دراز است و به نظر من که راه حل کوتاه مدت باید یک فضای باشه که مردم افغانستان واقعا نظرشان گرفته شود که آیا فدرالیسم میخوان و یا چه نظام دیگری میخوان. و برای از این فکر کنم که اول نیازمند یک اجماع ملی هستیم، ما همه باید با هم همصدا شویم و برای این همصدایی من نقد شما را از اون نشست‌های قبلی که هر جا شده منصفانه نمیبینم، به خاطر از اینکه شما باید با هم همصدا شوین و مقابل دشمن واحد یکجا شوین. و اگر انتقادتان از چهره‌های قبلی حکومت قبلی هست، آقای دانش اینجا حضور دارند که معاون یکی از فاشیست‌ترین انسان زنده در افغانستان بوده است ولی ما نمیتونیم اونها را همشان نقد بکنیم. کارکردهای خوبشان هم میتونیم ما در نظر بگیریم، ولی برای آوردن یک نظام دموکراتیک مناسب در افغانستان باید با هم همصدا شویم و با هم مبارزه بکنیم. بعدا باز میریم روی نظام باز.
تشکر. اول خدمت شما عرض بکنم که جنگ در داخل کشور در نهایت رسیدن به یک عدالت به یک ساختار. در رابطه با هزاره ها با شما کاملا موافق هستم و از اینجا بگم بحثی دیروزم بود که نسل کشی شده و خصوص به معلوم از زمان عبدالرحمن خان شاید درصد هزاره ها قتل عام کردن. من از همینجا میتونم پیشنهاد بکنم که این ژئونیست‌های این نسل کشی هزاره ها رسما پذیرفته بشود، جباله بشود و در واقع خاطرات برای اون قربانیان باشد و در آینده دیگر دست به چنین کاری نذارد. من تایید میکنم این نسل کشی را و یعنی میگم این کار شده است و باید پذیرفته بشه در نظر جهانی. در رابطه با بحث اخوانی ها یا غیر اخوانی ها، بحث الان گفتیم که بحث اساسی بر سر میان قاعده قابل بر سر هویت است افغانستان یک جمهوری اسلامی است مردم مسلمان. البته در اونجا ما بیشتر گفتیم که اسلامی سیاسی یک موضوع از 3-4 بار 2 بار حداقل در تاریخ معامله مبارک توسعه بشه و دو دلیل و دو عامل شکست خورده، یک عامل قبیله، یک عامل اسلامی سیاسی. شما زمان داوود خان نگاه بکنید، جنگ با داوود خان، جنگ با حزب دموکراتیک، هر دوش بنیادش مذهبی بود دیگه. شما 2 بار وارد شدید. با مرحله توسعه گذاره که جریان‌های اسلامی مخالفت کردن با جریان داوود، بعد من با داوود نقد دارم و همون در مرحله دیگه حالا با اون کشتارهای هم که شد از زمان حزب دموکراتیک، ولی یک مرحله برای توسعه بود از زمینه اقتصاد اینا که باز اون هم در واقع شکست بود به دلیل همون اسلام سیاسی. ولی ما در افغانستان وقتی میگیم فدرالیسم برای این است که اندیشه‌های مختلف من جمله خود همین اسلام سیاسی هم در ایالات در حکومت‌های محلی خود مجال پیدا بکنه نظرات چه مطرح بکنن مطالعه دموکراتیک، چپ مطرح بکنن، اسلام سیاسی مطرح بکنن، سوسیالیست مطرح بکنن، مارکسیست مطرح بکنن، همه مجال داشته باشن که در افغانستان در ایالات خودشون در فدرال‌های خودشون برای قانون اساسی طرح مسئله بکنن. توسعه سیاسی یعنی این اگر ما اینجا نتونیم مثلا مطرح بکنیم برمیگردیم با همون جای تاریخ با همون جریان‌های اسلامی سیاسی کاری که مشکلی اساسی داره. برای همین ما دنبال فدرالیسم هستیم که زمینه برای همین گروه‌ها فراهم بشه. در رابطه با سوال شما عرض بکنم که اینجا حداقل الان که ما نشستیم نماینده 3 قوم بزرگ افغانستان حضور دارن، نخبگان نشستن. نماینده ازبک‌ها حضور دارن که آقای دکتر همت رئیس اون شورای بزرگی تبارهای افغانستان است. این الان سوال کرده. اونا استاد حقوق هم درس خواندن و یک شخصیت برجسته و نویسنده و متفکرن. این نماینده ازبک‌هاست الان حضور داره. رئیس این شوراست. اینجا هزاره ها وجود دارن. جناب آقای دکتر طالب هزاره، جناب آقای فصیح وزیر هزاره است و اینجا هزاره ها حضور دارن. ما تاجیکان حضور داریم. این نیست که ما الان انتخابات کردیم که ما با نمایندگی از هزاره ها و ازبک‌ها و اینا آمده باشیم سخن بگیم. اما این کار نخبگان است. نخبگان این 3 قوم برای اولین بار در طول تاریخ 300 ساله افغانستان موفق شدن یک جای یک منشور را بسازن و توافق بکنن. ابدا در طول تاریخ افغانستان چنین چیزی نبود. درباره فدرالیسم بحث شده که جناب آقای دانش هم اشاره کردن و بزرگایی که آمدن بحث کردن که افغانستان فدرالی بشه و دیدن. اما این نبوده که حداقل 3 قوم که آنها بروشان نیستن، آقای عبدالله تشریف ندارن در اینجا که از رهبری این مجمع است. ولی 3 قوم بزرگ آمدن نخبگانش توافق کردن بر سر منشور بر سر قانون اساسی فدرال که امروز اینجا پرزنتیشن بشه این قانون اساسی. نتیجه 9 ماه بحث جدل و گفتگو میان نخبگان این 3 قوم. بنابراین این کار نخبگان است. قرار نیست که ما اینجا بریم عوام بیایم و تصمیم بگیریم که ما چی میکنیم. بعدا میره برای رفراندوم، بعدا میره برای نظرخواهی. طرح مسئله برای عبور از بحرانات کار مشرفیان است، کار متفکرین است، کار نخبگان جامعه است. اینجا حضور دارن. در رابطه این من تمام میکنم. در رابطه با جریان‌هایی که فرمودید که جناب آقای دانش وزیر هستن، جناب آقای دانش از اون وزرای در واقع اساتید بودن، وزیر بودن، معاون رئیس جمهور بودن که آمدن حزبی درست کردن و نام حزب عدالت، حزب از اینا برنامه اساسی، استراتژی اساسی فدرالیسم. برای این استاد دانش به عنوان یک متفکر، به عنوان یک حقوقدان
برجسته، به عنوان یک دانشمند بزرگ درسته خوب که صاحب تألیفات فراوانی هستند و بعد به عنوان یک فدرالیست در اینجا حضور دارند. و اونا اعلام کردن مواضع خودشان که ما فدرالیست هستیم. بنابراین در مجموعه فدرال ها از این بابت هستند. بقیه وزرا که نیستن و ما هم دعوتشان نکردیم و شامل این برنامه نیستن. بنابراین جایگاه استاد دانش پوری جایگاه متفاوت است با بقیه ارکان دولت و هر چیز شما معاون رئیس جمهور و غیره که داشتید. بنابراین از این بابت
Thank you very much. Thank you. Mr. Petra, we are running out of...
در رابطه با اون عزیزایی که گفتیم که ما چرا متحد نیستیم، اونا بحث رو روشنه. شما وقتی می‌کنید با یک جریان متحد بشید که بر سر اون اصول اساسی با هم تفاهم داشته باشیم. ما میگیم فدرالیست هستیم بر سر منشور افغانستان فدرالی بشود، ایالت‌ها به وجود بیاد، حکومت‌های محلی به وجود بیاین، ما توافق داریم. اونا برنامه‌شون روشن نیست که چی می‌خوان. طالبان نباشن ما باشیم. خب تو مولای واسه یک مولای دیگه بود چی چیزا واقعا حل بگیر. تو خوب پولی داره. برنامه‌شون رو روشن بکنن ما واسه برنامه با اینو حرف بزنیم تا به تفاهم برسیم. از این نظر ما اونا مخالف نیستیم با جریان‌های دیگر طالبان مبارزه می‌کنیم. اما رسیدن به یک تفاهم در یک جبهه واحد نیازمند این است که برنامه مشخص بشه. اونا از یک طرف مخالف دولت اون رژیم افتاده بعد میگن که یک سیاست که پشت سرشان می‌گذارن معلوم نیست که اینا با کجا هستن. اون رژیم پاشید نیست یا وجود نداره. هر روز میخواد رژیم برگردن برگردن خودشون دوباره در کابل چون چیزی نمیشه. اگر برنامه‌شون مشخص مطرح بکنن ما مسلماً گفتگو خواهیم کرد با سر
I want to give a final chance to our two ladies to say a couple of final advice they give, because everyone is always concerned about the women in Afghanistan. So please.
And I will do what I did in Tunis. I will not say anything. I will give the voice to ask
Okay, thank you very much. And I want to ask a question. Why do organizations, the diaspora and those in exile, striving for a peaceful and resilient Afghanistan, often fail to collaborate despite having similar goals? What strategy should be adopted to enhance joint efforts? So this is your question.
Okay, let me read the question. Sorry. Oh, fantastic question. Before I go into the question, I just wanted to say one more thing. I am a Tajik from Afghanistan. I'm not Afghan. Afghan is for another word for Pashtun tribes. So I'm from Tajik, from north. So I'm not an Afghan. But thank you so much for giving me the platform. I think the question is why do organizations, the diaspora and the exiles striving for peaceful and resilient Afghanistan often fail to collaborate despite having similar goals? What strategies should be adopted to enhance joint efforts? I think this is a brilliant question. We have gathered, especially in the past couple of months, we've witnessed so many conferences, so many events. People from all the way from this side of the political spectrum to the other side have come together to propose solutions for Afghanistan's conflict and dilemmas, but they're not working together. I think this is a brilliant question. Who says that they're not working together? Some of them they do work together, but the problem is that federalists are already have enhanced their hands, and they've proposed a lot of time to the other groups to come and join us or to work with us together. But most of us, our friends in here, we are part of other conversations. I mean, I'm personally involved in many other groups as well. But the thing is that federalism is an idea that is already established. what the other groups and organizations are doing. They're working on other side of the problems and dilemmas. They're trying to convince the international communities of collaborations. There are lots of geopolitics involved that we haven't started doing our work. This is a newly established organizations. We haven't had a chance to work a lot with international communities at the moment. And also, I think our tactics and strategies might be different, but the end goal is the same, and our resistance against the Taliban is the same actually, to be honest. And it's not only against the Taliban, against injustice, against tyranny, against so many things that's happening in Afghanistan that nobody wants to talk about. But the elephant in the room needs to be recognized by all of these groups. And once it's recognized, and once all of the groups recognize the problem, then we can all join together and work together. At the moment, some people and some organizations, they are just trying to ignore the elephant and just go around it and then find some excuses of thinking that it might disappear by its own, but it's not going to happen. So the first thing is to recognize the problem. For example, you have a disease, you have an illness, and for you to get a treatment for that illness, you need to recognize it first. You need to understand that you have a cancer and stop taking paracetamol and use the cancer medications. And if somebody's offering you the cancer medication, you should actually accept it and take it. The problem with, another problem that I have realized is that if the other groups, there are individuals from the previous regime, and their mentalities are still stuck in the past 20 years, or even previous to that. But Afghanistan needs new models and new proposals and new ways to move forward. We cannot go back to the previous models which have failed us, have failed everyone. So that's why it's very important to find new ways to include young people, to include new faces, such as this wonderful lady, for example, yesterday she spoke so well about the issues of Afghanistan, the problems of women. I think she needs to be part of the conversations. We have so many young people. Afghanistan is 65-70% of Afghanistan populations are under the age of 40. All of these people needs to be included in the dialogues and conversations, and we should stop bringing the same old faces that with the same old ideas and mentalities. And I think it's very important for us to understand that we have respect, a lot of respect for our seniors, for our teachers, and I have personally a lot of respect for all of them, but this is not the 90s, this is not the 80s, this is 2025. Things have changed, and we can use so many other methods to convey ourselves, to bring our voices to the table. There's a technological advancement, there is geopolitical changes, there's great power problems and changes in the world that we need to use it in our own advantage. So that's my idea. I know, thank you so much for making me realize that I should stop talking. Before we go, I just wanted to say one thing, if you allow me, please. I wanted to thank you personally. Thank you so much for organizing and for giving us a platform. Thank you, Dr. Bakri. Thank you to every single Dr. Fedrol and my seniors, Dr. Talib, and all of the colleagues in the Federal Assembly, my team who have worked with me very hard to get this conference going and organizing. I'm really, really grateful for every single one of you and for giving me the opportunity actually to be part of this process, because I'm not really experienced, but I'm trying and I'm learning. And my Farsi has gone extremely well. به حد اندازه خوشحال هستم که من میتونم در زبان خودم حال عادتا یک 10 کلمه یا یک 5-6 جمله رو به درستی بتونم صحبت کنم. Thank you so much.
So thank you very much. You can feel your strong spirit and your energy and your believe in the future of your country. That's great. So we have now, we continue with the next session. I have a break. 20 minutes break until 12. Okay, we gather here again at 12 o'clock. Thank you. Sorry for everyone who couldn't voice his message.
Was ist jetzt?
Eine Pause und dann kommen wir.
Was hat er genau gesagt?
Ich sag.
Ja.
جنجالک ها داریم ما در اروپا که سرطای مادر نمیتونه بالای تو
خب دوستای عزیز بعدا بیننده باشین. حالا برای فعلا من قطع میکنم و بعد از یا قطعنامه یا که اطلاعیه را خود پخش کردن دیگه بیننده باشین انشاءالله. و خواهشاً با دیگه دوستان اگر که بتونین شریک بکنین نمیره. یا حق یار شما. خداحافظ برای فعلا.